It's the final stop on the road to WrestleMania. Elimination Chamber just ended and it was a strange show. It felt predictable at times. It felt a little bit throwaway at some other times, but for a show that had minimal build, a lack of stars, no world titles on the line, and a lot of filler matches, if you will, it felt like a good final stop on the road to WrestleMania, even with all of those things lacking and missing from the show. So here at the Wrestling Space, we're going to talk about it, we're going to give you our reviews, what we thought. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Quick rundown to the pre-show. The Viking Raiders defeated Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. I guess this match just happened because there needed to be a match on the pre-show because these pre-shows are 1 hour long for some reason. I mean, if you saw the pre-show for Elimination Chamber 2020, you would realize that the show was basically just being completely overlooked in favor of WrestleMania. If you did see the show, you're going to see that they're going to spend a lot of time promoting WrestleMania, just absolutely looking over this show, because in their heads and perhaps in the way that they were trying to convey it to the audience, there wasn't a lot to invest in this show save for the main event. Then on the main card, Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak put on a classic. And you know, we weren't expecting any less from Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak. They're Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak. They're skilled wrestlers, they know each other, they're Mac technicians. They put on a classic. Drew Gulak really worked Daniel Bryan's neck. He had us all worried. He took some sick bumps. Daniel Bryan won, and then by virtue of the match, Drew Gulak earned the respect of Daniel Bryan. Very nice story told through it. I wouldn't mind seeing Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak again, especially with Bryan not having an official story heading towards WrestleMania and the show being 4 weeks away. United States Champion Andrade defeated Humberto Carrillo for the United States Championship. If you go on Twitter, you're going to see a lot of complaining from people saying that these two have fought way too many times for the United States Championship with no happy ending in sight for Humberto Carrillo. And you know, I like both of them. I don't mind them. They're very good wrestlers. They're great in the ring. They're both very attractive. There's nothing really that bothers me about seeing Carrillo take on Andrade, especially when it's elevating Carrillo into legitimacy as a contender. But there are so many matches that you can lose before you're no longer a legitimate contender. And that's the problem with Humberto Carrillo. He's lost every single match he's had against Andrade for the United States Championship. And while you may say, well, Andrade had a handful of titles in this one, we can't keep screwing Carrillo out of finishes and then giving him other matches. There need to be other people to step up to the United States Championship on Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw is a show that has plenty of talent that is not being used right now. And I feel like if we keep stretching this out, perhaps the thought is giving Humberto Carrillo a WrestleMania moment by having him win the championship at the WrestleMania kickoff show. If that is the point, good for them. But something needs to be done about this story. Something needs to be done to spice it up. I saw somebody online suggest maybe a fatal four-way: Mysterio, Andrade, Carrillo, and Garza for the US title at WrestleMania. I'll be down with that. Anything to spice things up, because we can't keep seeing Carrillo losing matches. And if you're going to put Carrillo in a United States Championship match again, he has to win. He just has to. Because we can't keep giving away or watching as an audience United States Championship matches where we know that the challenger has absolutely no chance because he's lost 8 championship matches in a row to the same champion. First Elimination Chamber of the night, it was the SmackDown Tag Team Championships on the line. This one was a little bit messy, a little bit over the place at the beginning, and then it picked up at the end. Bunch of crazy spots. I think everybody had to do something crazy. Everybody had moments to stand out. Lince Dorado leaped up the top of the cage. That was good. I think, you know, out of the shock of seeing Lince Dorado launch himself from the top of the cage into a sea of people at the ring, we kind of missed the point that Heavy Machinery no-sold what happened. Dorado leaped up the top of the cage. Heavy Machinery either was not part of the mob or just no-sold the whole thing, and then they did the compactor thing and eliminated Lucha House Party. I don't know why that happened, but it happened. Above that, Tucky from Heavy Machinery launched himself cannonball from the top of one of the pods into a sea of people in the ringside area. That was pretty good. Otis ran through 2 plexiglasses, the one inside the chamber and the one outside the chamber, fell outside. That led to the elimination of Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery is getting over as a tag team through this storyline with Mandy Rose. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why. It happens. It happens, and Heavy Machinery are now over, and Philadelphia crowd were really into them, and a lot of the other crowds are into them. I personally don't understand the shtick of Heavy Machinery. They're not some of my favorites, but game recognizes game. They're getting over, crowds love them, good for them, it's working. Nothing else I can say. Some wrestlers who are my favorite, Miz and Morrison, retain their tag team championships tonight. And I'm really happy that the Dirt Sheet continues to be the tag team champions, but like, where do we go from here? In that Elimination Chamber match, they defeated the Usos and they defeated the New Day. Those are the top 2 tag teams on SmackDown. I can't imagine a world where Heavy Machinery would defeat Miz and Morrison for the tag team championships at WrestleMania. That should not happen. That would be an audacity, as over as they are. But maybe that's where we're headed. The point is, we have these 2 high-profile tag team champions, and we don't know where they're going with the biggest show of the year 4 weeks away. And then we reach a part of the show where, it kind of like slagged. I have to be very honest. We gotta call things right down the middle. We gotta call things as I see them. And I'm telling you this fresh off of finishing the pay-per-view right now. There was a little period of time in which the show slagged, and that was the no disqualification match between Aleister Black and AJ Styles. If Aleister Black and AJ Styles were gonna wrestle a regular match, they should have just booked the regular match. Obviously, they couldn't, because they needed the interference by The Undertaker at the end of the match, so it needed to be no disqualification. I'm glad that Aleister Black won the match. I just wasn't particularly drawn into the match, and this is somebody I'm exhausted. Daylight saving times is kicking my ass, and I was trying to that little period where like your energy goes down and you're trying to stay yourself awake for the rest of the show and to record this video. I'm like, wow, this match is definitely not helping. For a no disqualification match to only use 1 steel chair and 1 kendo stick, that did not make sense to me. There just wasn't anything that stood out other than The Undertaker appearing and looking very weird while choking out the LC and then doing the choke slam to AJ Styles. I'm glad the match didn't get thrown out. I'm glad Aleister got the pin, but it wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be when I walked into the Barclays Center Monday thinking that they were going to do it Monday on Raw. Tag team titles on the line for Monday Night Raw. The Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins, Buddy Murphy against the Street Profits. It was a fun match for what it was. Like most of his tag team matches, it kind of picks up at the end. Street Profits are stars. The people love them. Montez Ford's frog splash at the top rope is a thing of beauty. I love the interference by KO. Very nonchalant, just throwing the popcorn. He's not really doing anything outrageous here. Because on Monday, it looked like, the Street Profits capitalized off the finisher done by Kevin Owens. But in this one, their victory seemed more to their merit. Kevin Owens just got in the head of Seth Rollins, but the damage done in the ring was done by the Street Profits. I like that correction from what happened on Monday on Raw. The Street Profits are looking good. They're good tag team champions. Evidently, Seth Rollins cannot keep up with this. And evidently, the Viking Raiders are in a feud with AOP because they have a little altercation in the match. So, much like on SmackDown, we don't know where the tag team championships are headed towards WrestleMania because one would think that Seth Rollins is facing KO in a singles match. And I believe Seth Rollins on Monday said that KO will get to pick the stipulation, so it's going to be some sort of gimmick match. So, the Street Profits are basically done with the Monday Night Messiah and their lackeys. So, either they sit WrestleMania out, or they're going to host a show, or, something's going to give. I don't know where the tag team champions are headed for the second time this night. And then we got to my favorite moment of the night, the Intercontinental Championship match. I wrote on Twitter that I don't know if it's intentional, but the way that they built up Sami Zayn by having him sit on the sidelines for an entire year, and then on his first pay-per-view match in over a year, come back and win the Intercontinental Championship off of Braun Strowman of all people. Chef's kiss. Beautiful. 6 years, everybody. 6 years waiting for Sami Zayn to become a champion in WWE. We finally have it. His first championship, the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn has spent a fantastic year building a character. Because here's the thing about happy-go-lucky Sami Zayn. He wasn't much of a character, right? And now we have this great liberator Sami Zayn character that hides behind two of the greatest wrestlers in the company, in Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro, and he's at the top. He slowly put himself at the top by gassing up the two wrestlers that help him. It's fantastic. I don't know if it's intentional because it's SmackDown, and SmackDown is not known for their great storytelling nowadays. But it is beautiful to see whoever made the decision to put the belt on Sami Zayn. I love you. I will love you forever. And now Sami Zayn is headed to WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion. And even if he were to lose in a squash against Braun Strowman, at least he gets to hold his head up high and say, I was the Intercontinental Champion. I have that moment. Because it was becoming surreal that everybody from that NXT class had reached single championships, save for Sami Zayn. And now that changes. Thank goodness we live in that era where Sami Zayn is the current Intercontinental Champion. Beautiful. And then main event time. Guys, holy shit. I mean, holy shit. Shayna Baszler murdered the entire Raw Women's division. She has murdered everybody. They're all dead, except for maybe Kerby Sane, and she lost on Monday. So yeah, they're all dead. Here's the thing. Here's why this needed to happen. WWE has had Becky Lynch as the Raw Women's Champion for over a year. And I remember in October of last year, when I thought that Sasha Banks was going to win the championship, I remember saying, well, Sasha has to win the championship because there's nobody else credible enough to take that championship off of Becky. And as the months went by and we got closer to the 300-day mark, it becomes very evident. Nobody in the Raw roster is credible enough to take the title off of the man. Until now. Because Shayna Baszler came and she took a bite out of Becky Lynch's neck, and then she murdered the entire women's division. And then she looked right down the camera and she said, you didn't know, now you know. Your ass better call somebody. I added that last part. It's just a damn beauty. She came out, she choked every single person in the Elimination Chamber, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, that this is the first time that a single competitor eliminates every other competitor in the Elimination Chamber. I have never seen a moment where we have one person standing in the middle of the ring and everybody else waiting to enter the chamber because they have killed all of the opponents. It was a thing of beauty because somebody who's sitting on the audience or sitting at home who has not watched NXT is gonna watch that and is gonna say Shayna Baszler is the real freaking deal because she came out and she destroyed every single person from the women's division that I do watch. Every single person except the champion. And now that match is on paper and it's happening at WrestleMania and the hype is high. Shayna Baszler took the cake today. And it's very hilarious because I was in Brooklyn for Monday Night Raw. When they did their show in Brooklyn, I don't know if it was this past Monday. I can't remember the days I live anymore. I'm so tired. But I was in the audience and people were crapping on her match with Kairi Sane. And it pisses me off. It pisses me off because if that match would have been on NXT, that Brooklyn crowd would have been losing their mind. But, you know, there was a story circling around over the week that because of that match, Vince may have changed his mind about Shayna Baszler. And this performance inside the Elimination Chamber was WWE telling those dirt sheets writers and journalists, bitch, you thought. Because Shayna Baszler is still at the top of the division. The way that they position her, she has to win the championship, and Monday Night Raw needs a new big babyface. When I always make reference to an episode of Glow, I believe it's the season finale of season 1, where Mark Maron's character tells Liberty Bell, the money's on the chase, when she loses the championship. She was like, why did I lose the championship? The money's on the chase. And I believe Becky Lynch, rebuilding herself, chasing after a championship again, will propel her back into what she was. Because I still love Becky, but there are people out there who want to get on their high horses and say, oh, I don't like her anymore because she seems too cocky. That's part of the story. Becky's cocky now. She's confident. And now, this lady's out here biting her neck and murdering everybody, and she gonna take her title. And Becky's gonna say, oh shit, I was too confident. I need to reassess myself and I need to chase that title again. And that's the story that Monday Night Raw is gonna be running for the next 6 months. I'm excited. And if you're not excited, then I don't know. You may not like professional wrestling if you're not excited. Overall, this was a great show. Slaggy in the middle with that Aleister Black match. But it was a good show. Very fun matches. A varied, the style of match is varied, and that's what I like. You know, you had the technical match in Daniel Bryan, and you had the flippy stuff with Humberto and Andrade, and you had the complete murder in the Women's Elimination Chamber match, and the complete anarchy in the Tag Team Championship Elimination Chamber match. For a pay-per-view that didn't have any world champions, any top stars, and it was basically being overlooked because everybody's mindset is already at WrestleMania, this pay-per-view delivered. And I think that's one thing that WWE can always count on. When their pay-per-views suffer from lackluster build-up, they always deliver on TV. WWE does really good pay-per-views. You just can't deny it. You can't deny it. A complete B+ for Elimination Chamber. It was a B+ show. Not too bad, not excellent. It's just an enjoyable Sunday of wrestling. And that's it for us. This has been What the Just Happened at Elimination Chamber. My name was Kerby. You can be so kind to follow me on Twitter at its_Kerby. You can follow us on Instagram at The Wrestling Space to see some clips from our shows. And stay tuned because we're going to be doing way more content. So go ahead, hit subscribe, hit that like button, join the space.